summer. I've been at camp all summer, our sleepaway camps, Camp S. Kramer and Gidling Hilltop Camp. Merle, try that again. I was at Camp S. Kramer and Gidling Hilltop Camp.
It's okay with my wonderful grandchildren.
I know you got to clap though, remember?
Oh, yeah. Which clap do I do?
All right, it's fine. It's fine.
I wasn't ready for that. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. But I'm back and I'm ready to go. So, let's see here. Maybe live stream. Amy. That's fabulous. You got Aaron. All right. All right. Why don't we just jump right in with a little blessing, shall we? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher tishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. That we must get busy with Torah. Get busy with it. Gonna get busy with the Torah. We're gonna soak ourselves in Torah, as my favorite fourth grader once said to me. All right, people, we got some fabulous stuff going on today. I'll save it for later. I'll save the thing for later. All right, I'm gonna just share my screen so we could just jump right in with a little Akev here. What do we got going on? Boom, 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 boom. Share. Fabulous. Where'd it go? Oh, go. Here it is. You all see this? Can everybody see this? There's a lot going on here today. All right. There's some fabulous questions that we're going to explore. We're going to jump right in, but I'm feeling I'll tell you later. It's pretty funny. It's pretty good. All right, I'm going to just jump right in. Here we are, Deuteronomy. And if you do obey these rules, here's what's happening right now. So, we're getting towards the end. They're about to be going into the promised land, right? And we're getting there and we're at the border. And it's like, all right, we've been wandering around for 40 years and I got a lot of stuff to tell you. I got a lot of things to remind you about. Because I'm not going with you, which I blame you for. I didn't say that, but you'll see what I mean a bit later. So we're continuing with the rules. We're continuing with this. What is next week? Right from the beginning, you see this idea of curses and blessings. If you do this, you will be blessed. If you do this, you will be cursed. And this gets very tricky. I'm just going to go and read a little bit right here. And if you do obey these rules, right, all the rules that basically commandments and the laws and all these kind of things, and observe them carefully, your God will maintain faithfully for you the covenant made on oath with your fathers. God will favor you and bless you and multiply you, blessing your issue from the womb and your produce from your soil. Oh, Harold's here too. Oh, Harold tricked me one time. Blessing your issue from the womb and your produce from the soil, your new grain and wine and oil, the calving of your herd and the lambing of your flock in the land sworn to your fathers to be assigned to you. You shall be blessed above all other peoples. There shall be no sterile male or female among you or among your livestock. Adonai will ward off from you all sickness. God will not bring upon you any of the dreadful diseases of Egypt, about which you know, but will inflict them upon your enemies. What is going on here? What's going on here? What did we just read? What's going on here? Hey, Roy. Roy, your own personal library wasn't big enough. Now we have to go into like an actual library. My goodness, very impressive.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
That's Berkeley's library.
I'm working on it. Okay, good. So what's going on here? What did we just read? Nina, share some fruit from the tree of knowledge.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So this is actually a very plain and I would say understandable statement that connects wherever it is their faith of succeeding to connect it to the land.
Okay.
So as the description of how the person is going to be benefited from this connection, is promising the people success, but he also promises that the land would be successful. So
Great.
it's like a
Fabulous.
package deal all the way through.
Package deal all the way through.
And I think it was important to separate their way of life from the tribes of the other nations that were
Okay.
always engaged in wars
Perfect.
in order to succeed
Perfect.
or to accomplish ownership.
Perfect. 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 With that being said, does anybody have a problem with that? Does anybody have a problem with what we just read? Really? Really? So nobody here has ever been afflicted with some kind of something.
That's what I would have.
Everybody here knows, everybody who's ever wanted to have a baby and was able to, no problem. Everybody here, right? Everybody here knows, there's nothing bad ever happened to me because I'm following. So what you got, Doug?
I've got a problem with this.
Oh,
I think that there's one of the basic problems with a belief in God is whether he has power or if he's impotent. So what Moses is saying to the thousands of people who are there,
yeah,
you're all healthy, you're all fine, we're just going to go and we'll conquer the other countries. But I've got a problem with it in this day and age because
correct.
we do have plagues, i.e. cancer, and people get sick. And, if a belief in God makes you healthy for the rest of your life, then, geez, everybody would be doing it. But I think a lot of people like me have a real problem with this and feel that God is kind of impotent in this day and age.
Okay. So, all right. So this is very interesting here. This is very interesting. And then it's going to depend on the way that. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Merle. Go. And then
I don't have a problem with rules. Rules are okay.
Okay.
But with what Doug just said, there are situations where the rules aren't going to apply to an individual because of circumstances. That may and in my case, or in other people's cases, I'm going to go with what Doug said, illnesses, or somebody who can't get pregnant, or issues with kids that have learning disabilities or illnesses that we have to deal with as parents and grandparents from birth, or sudden things that pop up that we have to deal with, with children and things that might suddenly show up that weren't there at birth. But I mean, rules, I don't have a problem with rules, but I think somebody has to accept the fact that I don't think you're necessarily breaking the rules, but the rules, there's exceptions to the rules.
Okay. Exception. Interesting. Rebecca, go. And then Penina.
Well, I have a friend who no longer believes in God because a good friend of hers died and she said God would never do that.
So it goes back. Look at this, right? It goes back to how one is defining or one believes, right, God to be. If we're looking at this as this is cut and dry, this is clear, right? If you do what I say to do, all these things will happen. And if you don't do what I say, bad things are going to happen. So clearly it's your fault. Clearly it's your fault. If you're just looking at it just like that, blah, 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 like take it for as it's written. or, and, right? Perhaps it's a way, not the way, or not to be confused with Yahweh. See, anybody? Amy knows what I'm talking about. Appreciate you. That it's sort of like, don't do that with your face. Don't make that face, because your face is going to stay that way if you do it. Your face is going to stay like that if you do it. We all know that's not the case, right? But we're saying don't make those faces, because when you're looking at somebody and you're making that face, it's like you don't appreciate. Maybe it's like, the food that I just got from my mom, I don't like this. I don't like peas and carrots. Don't make that face, because your face is going to stay that way. It's not really going to stay that way, but it's trying to teach you something about like gratitude of what you're receiving. Don't make that face. What are you talking about? Don't make that face, right? Take care of yourself. Follow the rules. Don't just, because we're going to see this later, which is fascinating. Just because everything is great, everything is great and wonderful, don't think it's because of you. It's actually not because of you. It's because of God, right? Don't start crying to me. Don't start calling me to me when things are bad. Oh, God, help me with this. But how about a little gratitude when things are going well, right? All right, what do we got? Pnina and then Jonathan. Gina, this is not your first rodeo. Let's go. Get that microphone unmuted.
Okay, so can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think we have to look at where they are and on what base those statements were made to them, to the people. So before they walked in, we have a chapter that tells us that everybody there was supposed to be divided into the tribes that they belonged to and raise the flags in order to go in and join their own people who already lived in the land and are occupied according to Isaac and Jacob, the way they divided the whole country to the tribes. And everybody was already settled there, whoever didn't go down to Egypt, which was only 70 people. And they were supposed to raise a flag, each tribe to their flag. So they're not going into the country to start killing people in order to settle it. The land was already there, and it already was developed and there was people living there, each according to their tribes, the way they decided to settle it in the beginning, before there was all this, the famine that drove Jacob.
Yeah, wait, you said something.
I'm not done. So now, telling them that they're going to be successful. I have to continue this sentence.
You will. I promise you will, but I just gotta say something.
Okay.
You said something that they weren't going in there to destroy anybody.
Right.
But incorrect. It's the next line, Pnina. It's the next line.
All right, because there was the reality that there were other people there. Okay? It wasn't a matter of they weren't supposed to sit there and cry, and they know that there are other people there. To prepare them to the unexpected, that's not a fault. Okay, it's like telling somebody during a thunderstorm that they're going to drive by there and they might get hit by lightning. Okay.
Get the point.
Let me finish.
Point?
So
I let
the
you
point
get to the point. We got stuff to do.
I'm coming to the point. The fact is that they knew that there was already prosperity there, because remember when the spies came back with huge package of grapes and to show how good the land was, they knew that they're going to get good return, and if they're working and living the right way. It wasn't that thrown them into the unknown. They came back with the proof that the land was good the first time. It's the people that scared them. Okay, so now you are telling me that nothing here is in a vacuum. Wherever was was told to them is something that they already proven that it was there. Now, the fact that there were other tribes and they were still involved with wars, yes, but it wasn't just there in Israel. It was all over the area. That was the reality of life at the time. Tribes were fighting against each other from different nations.
What is the point?
The point is that they weren't given stuff that was taken out of the, like you say, taken out of a hat. It was a promise of something that was already proven that it's working. And all they were given is a guideline how to help them, how to achieve it. That's it.
Interesting. I'm not so sure. We'll see. We'll get to some stuff. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Jonathan, you're up.
Hi, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Okay, so I have a solution and a problem. So the solution is, well, this idea of the fact that there's evil and everything, meaning that either God is weak or uncool, is called the problem of evil. And it's solved by the idea that evil is necessary, finite, and remote. So in other words, there's some reason that God is subjecting us to this. But a million years from now, when Gan Eden, and we've been there 999,900 years, it'll be remote and finite, it'll be far away.
Fascinating. Were you reading ahead? Ahead? Check this out. I'm gonna show you something now. Get ready for this. I love it. I love it. I love it. Where's my share button? Here it is. All right. Look at this. It says, y'all see this? Here we go. You shall destroy all the peoples that your God delivers to you, showing them no pity. And you shall not worship their gods, for that would be a snare to you. You should say to yourselves, these nations are more numerous than we. How can we dispossess them? You need have no fear of them. You have but to bear in mind what your God did to Pharaoh and all the Egyptians, the wondrous acts that you saw with your own eyes, and the signs of the portents and the mighty hand and the outstretched arm by which your God liberated you. Then it says, you shall faithfully observe all these instructions that I enjoin upon you today. Check it out. That you may thrive and increase and be able to possess the land that I promised an oath to your fathers, remembering the long way your God. Look at this. Look at this. Remembering the long way that your God has made you travel in the wilderness these past 40 years in order to test you by hardships to learn what was in your hearts, whether you would keep the divine commandments or not. So that's almost speaking about like, look, you see, it was a test, all this hardship and evil. However, if you remember, that wasn't even the case. They were like, yeah, let's go in there. God was ready to give them, like Pina said, God was ready to say, hey, all right, let's go in. It's going to be place, going to be great. And the people are like, no, there's giants in there. Moses, take us back to Egypt. They're like, what? And then the reason why they traveled for 40 years is because the spies were in there for 40 days. And for every day that they were in the promised land, the Israelites were going to have to wander. So that's 40 years. So that whole generation would be wiped out. Only the people who were born in the wilderness were going to make it. But that causes its own problems, because then what is also fascinating, what you just said, Jonathan, about the Gan Eden, because it seems like the way that God is now describing, or the way Moses is describing through God about the promised land for your God Adonai is bringing you into a good land, a land with streams and springs and fountains issuing from the plain and hill, a land of wheat and barley, of vines, figs, and pomegranates, a land of olive trees and honey, a land where you may eat food without stint, where you will lack nothing, a land whose rocks are iron and from whose hills you can mine copper. Right? That it's like, you're going to Gan Eden. This is where I'm taking you. But you weren't going to appreciate it if you didn't do all these other things, right? Because then it goes into, look at this. When you have eaten your fill, give thanks to your God Adonai for the good land given you. And later on, we get a little bit more. So what is the point of giving thanks in this case? What is the point of giving thanks in this case? Yeah? Where you going? Where? Enjoy. My daughter going to lunch with her friends.
It's like buying insurance.
Like, okay, give me some of it. What do you like buying insurance? Whole, term
Showing
life or whole?
appreciation.
Don't buy whole life, I was told. Don't buy whole life, only buy term. I don't know.
Talk to Arnie about that.
Yesterday we were talking about budgets and things, and they're like, Eshel doesn't really understand budgets. I said, I understand budgets very well. My understanding of budgets is God will provide. Right? That's my understanding of budgets. But let's keep going. Let's keep going.
I think you have to show your appreciation.
Why?
Because you worked hard to get it. And now if you're gonna get it.
You were saying that it's not because of you.
Well, but I believe that it is. I don't believe things just happen without you working at it.
Do you know the song
like
with
that.
a little help of your friends?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Penina, take it easy. I get by with a little of my friends, and then what's the next line? Take it easy. Slow it down. No,
and
right?
if you don't have support when there are things that are a problem, then it's hard to be appreciative. And that goes back to what Penina said about friends.
Yep.
Oh, this is good. All right. Okay, because of that, I want to jump ahead. Okay. Now, this next part is really fascinating. Almost all of 9 and 10 is disappointment and maybe backhanded compliments. Yeah, this is going to be great. I'm going to give you all this wonderful stuff. It's like, you've all heard this one before, right? So I called my mom. I called my mom one day, right? And I'm like, Mom, how are you? How's it going? I think I shared this story before. How's it going, Mom? I was talking to her. Mama, how's it going? She says, oh, it's terrible. Things are terrible. What do you mean? What's wrong? What things are terrible? I haven't eaten in a week. 23 hours, 14 minutes, and 23 seconds. What do you mean you haven't eaten that long? And why so specific? Well, I didn't want to, just in case you called, I didn't want my mouth to be full while I was chewing when you called me. Guilt. Cindy, you been there? You know what I'm talking about? Okay, that didn't really
We're all
happen
trained that way.
Say it again.
We're all trained. All Jewish mothers learn how to do guilt.
It's this thing. And check this out, okay? Because watch this.
Before you go ahead, there is something very interesting that I think you guys are going to like. Where it says that the stones are going to give you iron and copper.
Yeah.
There was a curiosity of where really is it to be found, because it was not there. The story is of Samson, that he stole the iron gate from the Philistine, which is the story, that the curiosity of Samson to figure out what this iron gate was made out of, because it was not there. They don't have it. Barzel and Nechoshet is the two things that no matter wherever it is that you can get out of there, it's not there. This is not something that's available there. So like I just wanted to connect the story of Samson that stole the gate. The Jabotinsky, the author who wrote the book about Samson, said that it's because of the curiosity. He was trying to figure out, what is it made out of and where is it? The iron
Amazing
gate. Yep.
Thank you. All right, here we go. Check this out. Hear, O Israel, right? This is Moses talking about, you are about to cross the Jordan to go in and dispossess nations greater and more populous than you. You're going to go into people who are better than you. Great cities with walls sky high, a people great and tall, Anakites, right? Anak, these giants of whom you have knowledge. They have knowledge. Why? Because these are the group of people that they saw 40 years ago when they first went into the land, and they just maybe heard stories about it. Know then that this day none other than your God is crossing at your head, a devouring fire. It is God who will wipe them out, subduing them before you. You may quickly dispossess and destroy them, as Adonai promised. Get ready for this. This is it. Here it is. Here's the backhand. And when your God Adonai has thrust them from your path, say not to yourselves, God has enabled us to possess this land because of our virtues. No, it is rather because of the wickedness of those nations that God dispossessed them from you. It's nothing to do with you. You think you're so great. They're just worse. Going to get rid of them, right? It is not because of your virtues and your rectitude that you will be able to possess their country, but it is because of their wickedness that your God is dispossessing those nations before you, and in order to fill the oath that Adonai made to your father Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Know then, I'm saying it again, that it is not for any virtue of yours that God is giving you this good land to possess, for you are a stiff-necked people. You don't call your mother, but I'm doing it for your mother's sake. Remember, never forget how you provoked God to anger in the wilderness. See this? Now, again, remember what you did to me? And look how great I am. I'm still going to give you all of this, even though God didn't want to, right? What did God wanted to do? What after they were complaining the first time? Send them back. Let's go find some other people. Then what happened with the golden calf? What did God want to do? Destroy these people. Let's go get some other people. And Moses is like, take it easy, take it easy, take it easy, right? So remember never to forget how you provoked your God Adonai to anger in the wilderness for the day that you left the land of Egypt until you have reached this place. You have continued defiant toward God. How about that? So I'm still going to give this to you because I'm benevolent and I promised you don't deserve it. You don't deserve such a mother like I am. Oh, you break my heart. You don't call, but I still love you. But I still... Doesn't it feel like that? Doesn't it feel... I mean, but here's the thing. I love that. Why? Because it also... Look, this is my own kind of like interpretation here. It's still... Because it makes me feel like it's still accessible. Like I can understand where this comes from. That's not new. Right? There's not new. And like if it doesn't get over here. Okay, so now... Not only are we saying that this is God saying, so then now Moses has to give his dig, right? Because he knows that he's not going into the promised land. After everything that he's done for these people, he's not going in. Yet they get to go in, even though they're the stiff-necked ones. They're the ones who are always defying God. They're always the ones who are complaining. They don't deserve it. I deserve it, meaning Moses, not me personally. But then he goes, check this out. First it was God. Now, I mean... This thing, it goes on and on and on. Thereupon, Adonai said to me, carve out 2 tablets of stone like the first, right? Because Moses come back up and come to me on the mountain and make an ark of wood. I will inscribe on the tablets the commandments that were on the first tablets that you smashed, and you shall deposit them in the ark. I made an ark. He's like going on and going on after inscribing the tablets. He's going on and on and on and on. And then I left and went down from the mountain. I deposited the tablets, right? He's stuck it. And then we went over here, and then we marched over to this place, and then we went over here, and that's why we're giving Levi this thing, because you're taking care of this. Up and resume and march ahead, and I swore to their fathers the land that I'm going to give them. So Moses is like, I stood up for you, and I'm not going in because of you. Yet I stood up for you. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at... Oh, Moses is mad. Moses is not happy about any of this, I would say, right? And then, all right. This goes on and on and on for like 30 lines. This complaining and this giving them this backhanded, like, yeah, you got it. But it's not because you're so great. It's because they're worse. You didn't listen to me, right? But we always have to remember How did this all get started in the first place? Right? It's like God created the situation to happen. It's like I got a friend. Everything for him is a fire. Everything is a fire. Everything is the biggest deal. Oh no. But and he likes to be the one to put out the fires, like with the friends and all that kind of stuff. He like it because then he feels good and everybody's like, oh yeah, thank you. But he's the one who's causing a lot of the fires. But then he puts out the right. It's like this. God is saying, you can't believe it. I'm going to give this to you after what you did. But God kind of started this whole thing, right? All right. Any comments before we move on to this other thing that I found that I love? It's one of my favorite words in the whole Torah. One of my favorite words in the whole Torah, and it was taught to me by a 12-year-old, one of my students, one of my bat mitzvah students, probably 15 years ago. Right, probably 15 years ago, she taught me this, and I love it, and I'm going to show you in a second. All right, before we do that, comments. Go ahead, Panina.
All right.
Yeah,
Can
we
you
hear
me
you.
now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. He blames them. He says, you broke the tablets. I don't know if you noticed it. He says, you broke the tablets. He tells them.
Well, this was God saying to Moses.
No, it's where Moses is kind of like telling them how, that they're nudniks. He's actually telling them, you broke the tablets.
No, this is God saying, I will inscribe on the tablets the commandments that were on the first tablets that you smashed, and you shall deposit them into the ark.
Right. That's what I mean. He didn't say it like Moses did it. He says, you people, you broke it. That's just interesting. Yeah.
Other comments.
Okay.
Go ahead, Douglas.
This lesson brings more questions than it brings answers to me. God gave us free will.
Welcome to the Jewish people.
He gave us free will, and the people back there had free will. I imagine the society that Moses had some people that were very firm believers, and some just totally was a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
Because they had all of these gifts from God, and they didn't appreciate it. I can compare that to our society. I mean, we have enough to eat. We have a roof over our head. We have clean water to drink. We have electricity. And most of the country doesn't. Most of the world, I mean. Most of the world doesn't have those luxuries, but we take them so for granted. So I think collectively, this nation needs to say thank you for all of the gifts that we have to something, because we have so much. Anyway, done. Thank you.
No, but it's beautiful. You make it. That's like, for me anyway, that's like the whole point of studying, that it's eternal. This wrestling that we have with ourselves as humans, getting to like thinking that it's all about us, that we did it for ourselves. But where's the gratitude? Where's the gratitude? And then how does one then express the gratitude? Oh, Cindy's got her hand up. Cindy, go ahead.
Say the prayer. We say prayers before and after we eat, thanking God.
So let me ask you this. I'm going to ask everybody this question. I'm going to ask everybody. Don't raise your hand. Just answer it for yourself. Really? We do? But we have the prayers. Don't answer the question out loud. How many of us today, how many blessings, how many prayers did you say thank you? Just today. How many did you say already? Did anybody have breakfast already today? Did you say the motzi beforehand and then birkat hamazon after? Don't answer. Don't answer out loud. Right?
Your kids at camp do.
Yeah, but I was Yes, I was just at camp all summer and we do it, but then sometimes it's just like, that's a very interesting point you just made. Because check out what I did. Check out what I did. Because as the summer goes on, the kids are like, man, you know, they don't say it with as much enthusiasm. It just becomes like, nah. So instead of just be like, come on, you got to say it. You got to be thankful. You got to be thankful. One day, for the whole day, didn't do any of the prayers. Didn't do it. There was a revolt. How could you not say? Hey, I said it for myself. I just thought, you know, y'all weren't thankful, so because you weren't saying the blessings with any kind of like intention. Why do it then? Right? So the kids at camp do, but even they get a little lax. What you got, Roy? Thank you, Cindy. I didn't know that dogs were allowed at the kotel. Learned something new. That was fascinating. Roy.
I think I want to comment a little bit about the concept of gratitude.
Bring it.
And why we say thanks. It's a means to condition oneself to deal with existence, in that if you're always saying thanks with true intent and expressing gratitude, it also means that you're not taking things for granted. But when you stop saying, you know, giving thanks and start taking things for granted, then you're more likely to become upset and bothered by changes of events and situations and conditions that are not the ideal. And so
Tell us more about that.
I don't take things for granted, which means I always work or strive to work to be better and to keep myself prepared for changes in circumstances.
Tell me more about that part. That's the part I find fascinating. Tell us more about that part.
It just, what I've seen across life is that, you know, people that continually are living in a kind of a beautiful existence often find life very challenging when all of a sudden the circumstances become adverse. It could be the health of a loved one. It could be job, financial conditions, even just things like having a bad day because your tire goes flat. It just, for me, it's like, okay, yeah, my tire went flat. I'll call AAA and get it fixed. But you know, it can be a big matter. It can be small matters. Basically, the point is to try and stay in the center, you know, the golden mean, where you neither get too elated or too disappointed in life. It's kind of like simplistic.
It's not simple. It's
I'm
not. Maybe they are
so
simple. No, maybe they are simple words, but it's not simplistic at all. Maybe it's simple words, but it's not simplistic at all. Right? Like the Gamze Vor story, this too shall pass story, or the story about, oh, we'll see, right? The good luck, bad luck, good luck, bad luck. Right? It's not simplistic at all, dude. Okay, well, we got who's raising their hand over here?
It's Donna.
Oh, Donna. So hold on. Shabbat Shalom, Donna. Hold on. Nina got her hand up, and then I got you.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You have to go back to the story of the creation. In the end, he says, here, you got this, you got this, you got this. But then I made Adam, right? And I gave you the capability. הוא אמר, לך נתתי את הארץ הזאת לעובדה ולשומרה. Now you are in charge. I gave you whatever case that I could give you, or I thought you'll be able to handle. The rest is you have to work it and you got to keep it. Keep it not mean like ownership, but keep it in order for it to survive, to keep it going. So we were designated a task. We were supposed to be the keeper of the earth. לעובדה ולשומרה. You work it and you watch over it. So it means that I gave you the capabilities to do it. Here it is, it's there, but it's your capability. So for people today to be able to take water from the sea and put it through a process and make clean water for drinking, that's a part of fulfilling this promise that he told us, that we are able to do this. And the fact that the person is getting the assurance that he can do it, he's going to do it. That's why we have computers, and that's why we have ammunition. I'm very sorry that it's in need, but yes, people do that, and they keep on inventing and doing and creating. But the whole world today, it's definitely different from what it was when it was created. And all this, men did this, people did this. We created all this stuff, medicines, whatever, how to make clothing, how to turn the salt water into drinking water, how to clean up the garbage so we won't get sick so much, and stuff like that, and immunizations. Okay, so we have to understand that we were given this power, and then that's why you are saying the blessings for those powers that we were given. It's not just because you ate. It's because you were smart enough to make the food also.
And so it's also thinking, you think about, right, the way that I like to teach is
Absolutely.
like, think about all the different people that were
Absolutely.
involved in getting
Yes.
that grilled cheese sandwich onto your
Yes.
table. All right, yeah. But,
Yeah.
and again, and we have which also means that we also are given the power not to say it.
There we go.
Right. All right. Go ahead, Donut, and then I want to just share something cool with you.
I just want to say Shabbat Shalom to everybody.
Ah, you fit.
And
Shabbat
also,
Shalom, Donut.
when I
Oh,
crawl
and
out
also,
of bed,
of
when I
course,
get
there
out of
was an also.
when I Oy vey. When I get out of bed, the first thing I say is thank Baruch Hashem, thank God I woke up. And I do say, my prayer over my food. And I'm like in the middle of eating, oh, I forgot to take off for my food. I start thanking him in my mind. But I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank the Lord for Adonai for everything. Okay, I'm done.
Fabulous. All right, here we go.
Thank you for going to the bathroom and be able to go to the bathroom. I don't know.
We do.
We do.
I know. There's a blessing that says that thanking God for, that all my holes open and close appropriately. That's a little. No, I know, Amy. I know. That is an actual prayer. Asher Yatzar, right?
Oh, wow.
That's the translation. It's not me. That wasn't me.
Okay, I'm going to say something. I'm thank God.
No, you don't say something. You can't just, I get to choose.
We're going to elect a woman for president. I'm so glad.
We're moving on. I'm making there we go. Check this out, because I need to share this teaching that this fabulous student shared with me, and it came from this line here. And now, Israel, what does your God demand of you? Only this: to revere God, to revere Adonai your God, to walk only in divine paths, to love and to serve your God with all your heart and your soul. She wrote, you ready for this? She wrote her whole Devar Torah about this word right here, walk. Right? She said, well, this is interesting. To revere Adonai your God, to walk only in divine paths. And if walking in divine paths, right, means following God, and in doing so, it's following the commandments from our Torah. And if Torah is supposed to then be, in that case, a guidebook for life, what does it mean to walk through life? Right? She said, well, why doesn't it say study? Why doesn't it say learn? Why doesn't it say run? What's the deal with this word walk? What you got, Merle?
Walking is doing.
So is running.
Well, the word walk is there, but walking.
But the word walk is on purpose.
But it's following the path. I mean, it's not just a word. Walking means you're doing something to follow that path.
But what about run? Like it says, there's also the teaching says that we should run to do every mitzvah, run to do every mitzvah, and run away from every transgression. Where it says run to do the mitzvah, but
walking is more paced. I mean, you're pacing yourself. You're not running. Running is like I'm in a hurry, and I need to do this to get it over with. Walking is you're thinking about it as you're walking or as you're doing.
Right.
It's a calmer word, I think.
Calmer. Interesting. Other people have any thoughts before I share what she wrote in her Devar Torah? Why this word walk? Right? Like Jewish law. Does anybody know what the term for following Jewish law is in Hebrew? What is Jewish law in Hebrew? Halakha. Right? Halakha. That's the name of Jewish law is halakha. The literal translation of halakha is like the way, the path. Holech, coming from the word holech, right? To walk. Holech. So,
and the word madrich is to be the person who shows you the road, from the word
right,
derech.
That's right.
Madrich, a counselor, is somebody who shows you the road.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so here, you ready for what she wrote? This is great. She said, if it said study, she's like, you're not really experiencing life. You're just studying about the mitzvot. You're just studying about life. You're just reading about it, but you're not really experiencing it, right? You're experiencing life through Google or through a library or something like that. But she said, run, why it doesn't say run, and this was perfect for her because she ran track. That was her sport. She said when she's running, like she's going to run that 100-yard dash, she's like laser focused, right? I am here and I want to get there as fast as I can. And I'm going to do whatever I can to get there, beat all these people around me. And I am laser focused, right? I have this goal and I'm going to work towards it. I'm going to run. And when that gun goes off, she's running, right? And when you run that fast, right, everything's kind of blurry around you because you're just boom, laser focused on that. But she said walk, which I love this because I still use this idea. She's like, walk still has this sense of motion, of moving forward, right? That you can have goals in your life. You can work towards things in your life. But she's like, slow down a little bit because when you're walking, you can still appreciate and experience and engage with the things around you as you're moving forward, right? Like the Jewish version of the stop to smell the roses, right? It's a story I use with kids who are always like, YOLO, you only live once, to do really stupid things. When they say this, not thinking about consequences, not thinking about, taking the time to do your homework, to do well on the test. Instead, I just want to go hang out with my friends because you only live once. But this idea, right, of having goals, moving forward, yet still being able to interact and appreciate what it is around you, right? Pretty good for a 12-year-old, huh? Pretty good. It was awesome. And this was already, 15 years ago, and I love it. All right. This is another interesting one. We're gonna skip the cutting away of the thickening of the heart. I know everybody likes talking about that one, but I have another one that is just, and it's based on the translation here, which I find very fascinating when compared to another line that is similar. Am I sharing my screen? Am I sharing right now? Yeah, good. All right, there it is. You too must befriend the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Face value, what is that saying?
Be courageous. Be courageous to talk to a stranger in the day we live in.
Okay, but what is this saying specifically? You too must befriend the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. You need to become friends, right? You need to become friends. You must become friends with the stranger. Like, well, come sit down with me. Come in, like, we teach this to kids. And when there's the new kid in school, come invite them to eat lunch with you because, you were a new kid once, kind of thing. You must befriend the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. And this is like I think this is like mentioned in this way or similar way 36 times in the Torah. It's like the most quoted line. Merle, what you
Rabbi,
got?
is that Rabbi, is that
Hold
like
on,
feeding the
Donna.
homeless?
Hold on, Donna.
What, ask a question.
Merle's got the floor.
Strangers need to be made to feel more comfortable in whatever place they are. I mean, I think about the girls this summer at camp, and they came home with all these new friends, kids that had never been to camp before, and they were in their cabins. I don't remember who was in what cabin, but all of a sudden they decided that these are at the very beginning, they decided to make these kids feel comfortable and not strange.
Okay, so check this out. Not strange, the stranger. But check this out. It's very similar to what other line is this similar to that maybe many of you know if you've ever been to the Ermis campus at Wilshire Boulevard Temple, and up on the top we have all of these. There's like be holy for I am your God and I am holy. Then over here Shema Yisrael, and then the one in the back says V'ahavta le'echa kamocha, right? To love your neighbor as yourself. What's the difference in this translation? Here it says, you must too befriend the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. It's like, what do we say about translation? All translation is interpretation, because the word here where it says befriend, v'ahavta et hager, it's the same word, v'ahavta re'echa kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. This could also be translated as love the stranger because you were a stranger in the land of Egypt. Why would it be considered in this sense the stranger as befriend versus the neighbor love? Because you could also say befriend the neighbor for you were, as yourself. What is the difference? I mean, I don't know. I don't know per se. I have a thought, but what would be the different the reasoning for this different type of translation?
May I ask you?
You can ask me whatever you want, Donna.
Okay. Is that the same thing as like where I used to live? I used to feed the homeless, and the look in their eye was like, "Oh, do you care if I'm hungry?" I mean, I'd be upstairs making steak sandwiches because I feel make 4 steak sandwiches. And I went down there, there's only 4 kids.
Right. So yeah, it's like this, right? It's one of the ways that we remember is to make sure that those who don't have food have food. Yes, I got you. Cindy, what's up?
Well, a neighbor might not be a stranger.
Okay. It depends on how one defines neighbors.
Right. I mean, a stranger to me sends a person of a different background, someone different than you, or somebody new.
Okay. Keep going.
While a neighbor could be someone that's new or someone that's been there for a while. It could be someone in your community. It doesn't, I see it as being very different. That's someone that you may have common things because they're your neighbor, as opposed to someone just coming. I don't know, it just kind of made me think about us university people, coming to Wilshire, that we were the strangers in the land of Wilshire.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, we came during COVID. So things I don't think worked out as well as they might in a different circumstance.
Yeah.
But things that were planned to welcome us had to be canceled because of COVID.
So are you a stranger or are you a neighbor?
Well, we initially were strangers. I think after 4 years, hopefully we're neighbors now and part of the community.
So what constitutes neighbor? I mean, we were in the same neighborhood. You were a neighbor, maybe also neighbors and strangers. I mean, you're making it's fabulous point, because this is like one of the big debates about, like, love your neighbor as yourself. Does that only mean if you're living in a community of Jewish people, right? Love your neighbor as yourself. Love the Jewish neighbor as yourself. but the other people, even though they might be neighbors,
Well, I
maybe
think
they are
the
actually
base of
strangers.
stranger, the base is strange, to me, which implies someone different than you. If they're strange.
Interesting. But that is also subjective.
Yes.
Yes, it's super subjective, right? Stranger could be just someone you've never met before, right? They still could be a neighbor. Like, I'm not going to ask anybody to raise their hand out here too. Do all y'all actually know your neighbors? Like 2, 3, 4 houses down, maybe a block over, maybe 2 blocks over. Like, when does the line stop a big neighbor, then all of a sudden start being a stranger? Where does the line end as far as your neighborhood and then another neighborhood, your community and another community, right? Your people and then another people. It's like these subjective demarcations,
Rabbi
right? These
Eshel,
subjective demarcations.
Rabbi Eshel, I agree with you, but I got material now for a comedy show at Comedy Central because there's some people you really don't want to be friends with. They are really strange.
So yes, but that doesn't again preclude you from working at it, right?
No, it doesn't. You're right.
So this is a really interesting point. This is a really interesting point, right? So that's one of like the big conversations right there. And Cindy, you brought up one of the most practical examples there is, right? This is, sure, it's nice to be able to read it, right? Study it, but did we, as a Wilshire community, walk the talk in the way that, I still think that, the blending of communities and creating relationships is an ongoing process, right? But this is, I so love that you brought this up because it speaks exactly to my bat mitzvah students' point, right? It's not just enough to read it on the computer screen here, right? It's not just enough to read it on the computer screen, but what are you going to do? You're going to walk the walk. Are we going to walk to the synagogue together? Are we going to walk into High Holy Days together? Cindy, are you going to be at the Resnick campus for High Holy Days?
Yes, I am.
Fabulous.
Except the first night I'll be a glazer.
You go, okay, what, right, for Rosh Hashanah, the first night, everybody. But what about Yom Kippur? Are you going to be at for Kol Nidre and Yom Kippur Day? Sweet, I'll see you there. I'm going to be there with you. It's going to be great. Okay, last point, Merle.
I think when you talk about blending communities, when I'm in town and can go to services or to a program, to see people or to have met people that were all together from both congregations is very meaningful. That, somebody, we've all met on Zoom in a difficult way through a difficult time, but to be able to see each other when we're all together and be welcomed by one another, or you go up and you talk to somebody that you only know from Zoom or whatever, that's blending to me. We've blended the communities as best as we can for the people who want to be blended in.
God bless you.
Thank you.
We did that, Merle, at Irma's.
Well, but most of us have done it in one way or another. Arnie doesn't come into LA that often. I usually come with a friend, but he really appreciates it when somebody who's a total stranger that he doesn't know from Wilshire all these years comes up to him and realizes, that we're together and talk to him and make him feel welcome. That's blending to me.
Well, that's the first thing in the service. They said, reach out to someone near you that you don't know and greet them.
But not everybody does that. I notice it even here. Some people just sit there and there's no conversation.
Because they're uncomfortable, right? It's like I tell my kids, even your best friend was a stranger to you once. Your best friend was a stranger to you once. Exactly. And with that, I'm going to wish everybody a big Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
And to be continued.
For sure.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Have a wonderful week.
I don't go to Resnick because I have a car, but you're in my heart.